Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. This is Brian Dewhurst bringing you your market update and Bitcoin briefing on behalf of Commonwealth Partners. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. The market sure has been merry. These numbers look really big, and I just don't want you to feel like you're missing out, like you missed something this year. Yeah, if your numbers on your statement don't look this way, but I want to show you this. We're going to have it on another slide, but we'll jump into it. Obviously, these numbers are huge. Everything's up because the Federal Reserve is printing money willy-nilly, and they're investing it in all these different asset classes, and so is everyone else. So the markets were up this year. You get it. This is a daily chart on the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ ETF. Kind of shows you just 143 to 209. In terms of this chart, but was a low to high. So yeah, it's done well. This is the weekly on the NASDAQ. See those yellow candles on there? This has a indicator on it that has green, red, and yellow. Obviously, we want to see those to be green. Would be a lot stronger conviction than yellow. So it's interesting to watch. But everything looks solid on this chart. And then this is the monthly view of the QQQ. And you also notice it's on a yellow candle as well, but strong movement. And then this is gold, and gold you can kind of see what ran up and it's kind of been trading sideways and consolidating. I don't know if I've said it before, but the longer something trades sideways, the bigger the move up or down. And so it's not unnormal or abnormal for these asset classes to consolidate sideways after a big move. And for gold, it went up quite a bit, 15%, and it's been consolidating those gains. So very bullish setup headed into 2020, but we will see what happens there. And then Bitcoin has really been consolidating its gains. At one point in the year, it was up over 13,000. It's now down to almost 6,500. So down 50% intra-year from its highs, but still almost double from where it started the year. So Bitcoin, you can kind of see this kind of horizontal consolidation pattern as well. Looks to be holding support at 6,500, but it could easily go below that. It's a little bloody down there. So we're watching that. I don't expect much out of Bitcoin headed into year end with profit taking, people paying taxes, all that different stuff. Futures contracts are now coming out, options contracts. So it's going to have a lot more free price discovery than it did in the previous years. Wanted to get into some fun stuff for year end. Some of the folks I follow on Twitter have really cool data, so I just thought it's easier to copy them and talk about it versus trying to create it myself. So this one on the left from Charlie, I honestly don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Biello, top performing stocks, the S&P. This was as of like December 7th, so about a week ago. A lot of tech in there, some industrials, financial services, that type of thing. Consumer cyclical, tech pretty big throughout. Apple's in there, I believe. Applied materials. So anyways, yeah, there's Apple, number 17. So some pretty big companies in there, big moves. Chipotle's coming back. Then this other guy, Chris Shavako, he's actually really cool. Got some good stuff on YouTube as well. Really big fan of his. And he showed, looking back 661 days from the 1987 peak, the S&P 500 gained 76%. And I've been talking about this a lot with clients and in meetings, but I wanted to highlight it in this slide because I think it's really powerful. And what I alluded to on the first slide is you see these huge gains, and if you weren't as aggressive as you wanted to be, or you had money in cash, you feel like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I should have been in the market. And, hindsight's 2020. But what Chris is saying, looking back 661 days in 2019, the S&P 500 is only up 8.5%. So really over the last, 2 years, the market has been trading largely sideways. And I showed in the last video, we've kind of started a new trading range. Why, we are telling our clients and people we're talking to be open to higher highs. And you look at the news, you look at everything, you look how much the stock market's been up over the last 10 years, really since March of 2009 was the bottom. It's like, how much higher can it go up? And I think that's the important thing that we're trying to look at data and not predict, but look at probabilities of what we should be open to in terms of future prices in the stock market. So I thought those were two really good slides. And then I got two more here. This one on the left said, if you ever start thinking the market can't go higher, the SPX, which is the index, is currently 370 above its 2009 low. It was also 370 above its 1982 low in early 1995. It would go on to rise another 200% over the next 5 years. So it's basically saying, between that and the previous one, there still could be a lot of upside here, which I know is hard to believe, and how polarized things seem politically, and then all this trade nonsense with China. Are we doing the tariffs? Are we not? Are we doing a deal? Or are they not? I mean, it's just been kind of ridiculous how much that's been played out. From the analysis I've seen and everything, it's less than 1% of GDP. So obviously, it's important to get these things figured out between such, two such major countries in trade, but all the while the stock market's going up. And then I also thought this was super interesting. Another one from Charlie is total returns the last 20 years, the S&P up 220%, and then long-term bonds up 344%. And so, when you look at building an overall portfolio, those things are interesting. So lastly, as I always like to cover a little bit more in depth on Bitcoin as people get used to it and different things, we look at what I've always talked about: what are the major companies doing, and are they starting to leverage this technology? Nike just received a patent to tokenize shoes on the Ethereum blockchain. What that probably means is some sort of an authentication type process, so the shoes can be verified to be authentic Nike to protect them from knockoffs, and or it could be embedding tokens inside the materials as they are shipped to help with supply chain management. Could be multiple different things. But anyway, starting to file patents on the Ethereum blockchain. So you have one of the largest shoe manufacturers in the last 40 to 50 years starting to leverage blockchain as part of their corporate initiative and filing for patents. So that's, to me, tangible action forward that this has legs, and big companies are starting to adopt this in multiple different ways. And then on this right, which a lot of people don't understand, is Bitcoin is really just a mathematical algorithm that was developed that creates these coins. And that algorithm has never been hacked. You hear about fraud all the time with Bitcoin and people stealing coins and impersonating and all that. That does happen, but that is different than someone hacking the Bitcoin algorithm and creating their own coins from scratch. That's never happened. And so anyways, about every 4 years, the Bitcoin algorithm produces less new Bitcoin. And that happened in 2012, and then 2016. And then it's slated to happen in May or June of 2020. Oh yeah, you see it up here, 11/28/2012, 7/9/2016, and then somewhere mid-2020. They're estimating based on everything May to June. And then what you see after that line is kind of this stratospheric rise in Bitcoin, typically gone 20x about both times on the past two happenings. So not saying or speculating that's going to happen again, but this person on their tweet was just mainly trying to highlight the different happening points, what BTC has done, and kind of a projection from there. And so it's kind of interesting to look at. So again, got all your information. Philip and I, again, hope you had a great 2019. Hope you have an amazing 2020, the start of a new decade. If there's something you want to change in your life related to finance or starting a business, entrepreneurship, please contact us. Please, we are here to help. We are here to serve. We've got so many amazing things lined up for you guys all in 2020. Can't wait to start releasing things. And you're going to hear from more of us on that. But again, if you need help, want help, interested in the stuff that we're doing and talking about, also check out our podcast, the Uncommon Life Project podcast on iTunes. Got a lot of great stuff in store for you for 2020 as well as we wrap up. So just thank you, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
The material in this video has no regard to the specific investment objectives, financial situations, or particular needs of any viewer. This video is presented solely for informational purposes and is not to be construed as a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell a security or any other related financial instruments. Nor should any of the content be taken as investment advice. Any of the opinions expressed in this video are subject to change without notice, and Uncommon Wealth Partners LLC is not under any obligation to update or keep current the information contained herein. Uncommon Wealth Partners LLC and its respected officers and associates or clients may have an interest in the securities or derivatives of any entities referred to in this material. Uncommonwealth Partners does not accept any liability whatsoever for any loss or damage of any kind arising out of the use of all or any part of this material. We recommend that you consult with a licensed and qualified professional before making any investment decisions.